This is Lisa with the Barnyard Chicken, and I'm going to make chicken and dumplings. Got some of my stuff. I got boneless, skinless chicken thighs, but the recipe calls for chicken breast, but I don't like chicken breast. I mean, I do, it's fine. But when you make chicken and dumplings in the crock pot, the amount of time that you have to cook the chicken makes it too dry. So, and it calls for cream of chicken. I put carrots in it. I usually put fresh carrots, the little tiny sliced ones. But I didn't have any fresh ones, so I got this out of the cabinet. Salt, pepper, garlic to taste. Calls for chicken stock. I always get low sodium, no salt, as much as possible. So the recipe calls for 2 or 3 chicken breasts in the crock pot. And you're supposed to cook the chicken in the crock pot for a while. And this recipe takes like 6 hours. But I don't have 6 hours to cook dinner. So I am going to cook the chicken, and then it will only take an hour to an hour and a half for the chicken and dumplings to cook. It also calls for biscuits, but they're in the icebox. Okay, so let's get started. Plus, I like to make my own chicken broth, so I just have that in case. I just have this chicken broth in case I need extra, and that's one reason why I get the thighs, because they will help make chicken broth. And you know, because it has a little fat, it has just enough fat to make chicken broth. But obviously the best way to make chicken broth is to have whole chicken parts with bones and skin. But yeah, I always buy boneless, skinless chicken, no matter what kind I buy. This is HEB brand, and so is the this. And I'll add that if I need more. So okay. So you're supposed to put whole pieces in the crock pot and let them cook. But I'm going to cut these up in little pieces, just like I was ready to make chicken, and I'm going to cook them in a skillet. And when I'm done cooking them, I'll come back. Anyway, I cut my chicken up in little pieces and saute it in a pan. When I get all the chicken cut up, I use my scissors. When I get all the little pieces cut up, and I saute it, and I'll add my pepper. I'm running out of pepper. And the microwave went out today, so I don't have a vent hood or a light or nothing. So I don't know what I'm going to do. But go ahead and saute that a little bit, add the rest of the chicken, and then I will add some water. I like to use this pink Himalayan salt. This is what I've been using, but I'm almost out. So I got this HEB brand, so we'll see how it works. I was using this brand, and it's really hard to see. It's just a great big, it's technically a refill, but I really loved this, and I used it right out of this container. So you can't see the name. It's like Old Thompson Fine Himalayan pink salt. Anyway, I got something else in there now, but the pink Himalayan salt was in here, but I ran out. But it was the best. Anyway, I've been using that. And this, I love this little container, but this lip here is real sharp, so it hurts my hand every time I use it. And today was the first time I used this, but this top is really smooth and it doesn't hurt my hand. This spoon here almost feels like it's cutting me. And yeah, so I got my chicken sauteing. Let me turn the water off. Got my chicken sauteing. And yeah, I could use a spatula, right? You can make the chicken any way you like your chicken, but this is the fastest way. I like to cook things fast. I ain't got all day to cook. And you can boil your chicken just like you would normally do when you're making chicken stock. And I got my salt and pepper in there. And I want to add some parsley flakes. I like to use these parsley flakes in almost everything. And so I'll add my parsley flakes and I'll be back. I've added my parsley and my water, and I'll just let it cook. And sorry about the light. Like I said, the light over the stove went out when the microwave went out. So we'll let that cook a while, and I'll be back. The recipe calls for cream of chicken soup, but you don't technically have to use cream of chicken soup. And the last 2 times I made this, I didn't use the chicken soup. I made my own chicken broth, and by the time I was done making it, I didn't think it needed any, so I didn't add it. And if you can not add it, that's a lot of sodium that you're cutting out. So that's one reason why I like to make my own chicken broth. And I never have liked canned chicken broth. I prefer fresh chicken broth. And it always takes so long for the liquid in here to get hot. And so I try to go ahead and turn it on so that it'll be hot by the time I get ready to use it. So I have some chicken stock in here, and if it's hot enough, I am going to go ahead and cook my noodles. And the dumplings, I use biscuits. I cut them up in little pieces and put it in the crock pot, and you're supposed to cook it for an hour. And sometimes it takes an hour, and sometimes it takes 2. I don't know what's the difference. If you're in a hurry, you can put your liquid on the stove, bring it to a boil, and then put it in your crock pot. But just as soon as you get ready to start making it, just go ahead and turn your crock pot on and let it start heating. Put your liquid in a pan on the stove, get it boiling, and then pour the water in there. And I always use these bags, these Reynolds slow cooker liners. I have tried the store brand, but they leak, so it wasn't that much different in price, so I just go ahead and get Reynolds. Anyway, and it makes for an easier cleanup. And you don't have to do it. You got time to clean, that's fine. But it helps things from sticking, so that's a plus. And even the store brand that leaks, it's even better than no liner at all. So anyway, I guess I will get my biscuits and start cutting them up. I prefer to use these Grands Flaky Layers buttermilk biscuits. These are the big ones, the great big biscuits, and they work out really good, and they actually work better than the butter tasting ones. And the butter tasting ones liquefy a lot more, and they are really good, but it also puts a lot of grease in your chicken and dumplings. And so I try to cut all that kind of stuff out. But the butter tasting ones, that's what they're called, butter tasting or something like that. Those are my favorite. So, but to make the chicken and dumplings, these work the best. You can use any kind of biscuit, cheap biscuits, small biscuit, big biscuits, as many biscuits as you want. I'm going to use 2 biscuits, 2 packages of biscuits, and I might use a third one depending on how full my pot looks, because I like a lot of dumplings. Okay, you're supposed to take the biscuits and put them out on your thing and take your pizza cutter and then cut them like that, and then cut them like that into 4s. Anyway, I don't like the biscuits. I don't like to do that, but that's how the recipe calls for. And it would work perfectly fine, I'm sure. But I just like to use my scissors and cut them up into little pieces. So I'm doing this one-handed, but here's my biscuit. I'm just going to hold it in one hand and, you know, cut it into little tiny pieces like this until I get them all cut up. But you can cut it like this with a knife, with a pizza cutter, with scissors, however you want to do it. You should take the recipe and make it your own. This is what it looks like after you cut all the biscuits up and put them in there. This is 1 package of biscuits, so I'm going to just put the lid on it and cut the other up and add them to there, so I won't just lose all that heat while I'm cutting biscuits up. And I got my meat set to the side, and I will put it in after the dumplings are cooked. You're supposed to cook them all together, but it cooks faster this way, and the noodles do cook better this way. So you're not supposed to stir the noodles until they're done, so we'll let them cook for an hour before we stir them. I got 23 more minutes to go before I can open and stir it. Or open it and look at it and see if it's ready. Anyway, in 23 minutes, it'll be an hour. And I haven't been very many steps today. Can't make that focus. But I've only went 48, 42 steps today. And I probably did a lot more steps. It's just that if you're not swinging your arms, it doesn't count your steps. So like when I went shopping earlier, I was pushing the basket and mowing the grass. Your hands are in the air. You don't get counted for them. So that's uncool. But anyway, here I am, just waiting for this to cook. And I guess we'll come back and check it in 23 minutes. Okay, laugh out loud. So I couldn't wait 23 minutes. I decided to check it, and it's definitely done. So it wasn't even in a whole hour. I had 23 minutes to go. But I think it looks real good. I'm going to add the chicken. And as a matter of fact, I think that the juice is plenty good. I'm not going to add the cream of chicken. I don't need it. It's creamy enough. And who wants to add all that sodium? So I don't know why it's not focusing all of a sudden. Okay, let's see. Try it one more time. Okay, so it has 870 milligrams of sodium per half cup serving. So anytime I don't have to use this, however the recipe does call for this, then I don't use it. And since I make my own chicken broth, I think that's why I don't have to have it. So I'm going to add my chicken and my carrots, and it was done. Okay, so I added my carrots, and I didn't add, this can wasn't very big, and this is the first time I ever used this brand, but they were really good. I ate some right out of the can, and cooked, and they were delicious. Tasted just like baby food. So, that's the only can I'm going to add because I'm the only one that likes carrots. And if you have kids, you might want to cut the carrots up to make them smaller so the kids won't complain. But we're all adults here, so everybody else will complain about the carrots except me. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed my cooking video. This is Lisa with the Barnyard Chicken. And next time, I think I might make enchiladas. So this is what I call semi-homemade chicken and dumplings in a crock pot. But next time I get an opportunity to go to the store, I'm going to gather all the stuff to make enchiladas. And it will be semi-homemade enchiladas because I have a weird way of making enchiladas, but they're really good. Okay, so I'm out of here, and I'm sending all my love and my hugs.